Hello, everyone, and today we're going to be looking at the 2022 Marin lineup. So, just quickly before we jump into the Marin lineup, if you put the link in the description for this one, if you aren't too familiar with the range and you kind of want a little bit more of something to read at the end, Marin has a really good article on picking the right bike in the lineup for you. So, I would definitely recommend checking that out if you want a bit more info from them. So I'll put that in the description after. So jumping right into it, let's look at the enduro bikes. So starting off, the only enduro bike that they've really got, it's got the Alpine Trail range. So there's a few options. You've got the Alpine Trail 7, the XR, which is the two alloy builds. So the Alpine Trail 7s, which I used to have. So if you check out a review of the old series, they'll give you a good indication of what the rear suspension feels like. But for 2021, they did update the frame, so it's a little bit longer. So I thought of it more as kind of like an all-mountain bike, but now it's a full-on enduro bike. It's a lot slacker than what it was back then, and it's also a lot longer as well. So you're looking for an out enduro bike, I think it's a great option. So the Alpine Trail 7 is a great option if you're kind of just getting into enduro riding. But if you kind of want that like privateer build that's going to be absolutely bulletproof, the Alpine Trail XR is definitely the one to go for. So Australian dollars, 5,491 for that one, but you're getting a Lyric Ultimate, Super Deluxe Coil Ultimate as well, 1x12 SLX drivetrain, 4-piston brakes, proper rubber as well, and some good casings too, super soft there, decent dropper, all that kind of stuff like that. So that's going to be the one. If you're looking for that bulletproof enduro bike with just great spec, that's going to be the one to go for. So kind of like a common style kind of build where you're getting an alloy frame, but really good spec. But the Alpine Trail Carbon is going to be a little bit lighter. So if you are looking for something that's got a little bit better acceleration, a little bit lighter, there's some great options there. So the Alpine Trail Carbon 1 has a very similar build to the Alpine Trail 7. And then the Carbon 2 is going to have a bit better spec. So Fox 38, DPX2 in the rear. So some really good spec there. And then some better brakes compared to the XR as well. I think you're getting SLX or XT brakes. So 4-piston, good quality Shimano brakes there. So if you're kind of looking at the lineup, if you're looking at on the budget end, the Alpine Trail 7 is going to be a great option if you aren't doing any super long descents, but you just want a bike that's a little bit more forgiving. But if you want that extra performance, the Alpine Trail XR is probably my pick of the bunch. But if you are looking for outright performance, you want something a bit lighter, you can't go past the Alpine Trail Carbon 2. I think that's the best one in the carbons that you should look for. We'll get into the San Quentins a little bit later, but we'll jump into trail now and we'll look at the rift zones. So let's jump into those. Oh yeah, and we'll just go quickly back for that. If you're looking kind of around the range, if I'm going to give kind of a option in terms of pricing and stuff like that, I think these are an amazing value bike. So I think it's going to be one of the best alloy bikes you can on the market, especially in the US as well. You can get them in bike shops, but in Australia and the US now, you can get them from Bikes on Bicycles online as well. So you can get them online too. So yeah, I think they're an amazing value bike, especially that XR is a good option there too. So I think that's the best value of the bunch. So jumping right back into where we were. So we're on trail now and we've got the Rift Zone series. So if I'm looking for value out of these ones, I still think the Rift Zone 3 is probably my pick of the bunch. It's very similar to my Polygon Siskiyou T8. So the geometry is virtually identical. A little bit less travel. So you're getting, off the top of my head, so it's, I think, 125 in the rear. I could be wrong, but let me just double check. So front suspension 130 and then rear suspension 125. So a little bit less travel compared to that Polygon Siskiyou, but I wouldn't say I noticed it too much riding the bikes back to back. They're very similar in terms of that spec as well. They're pretty similar there too. So it really depends if you want kind of, there is a little bit more poppiness out of the Rift Zone compared to the Siskiyou T, but it's very marginal. So I would be picking the bike that you kind of just like the look out of a little bit more. And then pricing wise, the Siskiyou T is a little bit better value as well. So that would be my pick there. But then there's also the Rift Zone 29.2, which is very much a comparable bike to the Siskiyou T7. And then you've got the Rift Zone 29.1, which is kind of more of an entry-level bike. You're getting that rigid seat post there as well. So if you are picking then I think the Rift Zone 2 and then the Rift Zone 3 is the better option there. But then you can also step up to the carbon. So if you're looking for something a little bit stiffer, a little bit accelerating a little bit better, because they are on the heavier side, these bikes. So the carbon frame does help a little bit, and it does make it just feel a little bit more poppy, more playful on the trail, just more of a responsive ride, I would say. So there's some great value options here. The Rift Zone Carbon 29.1, I think is a great value build. That's probably my pick of those, because you are getting the fork pretty much comparable. It's Fox 34 versus the Malzuki on the Rift Zone Carbon 1 versus 2. You do get the reservoir shock on there, so it's going to be a little bit better on longer descents. But for these kind of trail bikes, I don't know if you're going to be doing stuff really that would overheat the shock too much. And then drivetrain range as well is pretty similar there too. So that's probably my pick of the bunch there. And if I'm going to give them a value, it's kind of in between that good and amazing kind of range. I think you're getting a little bit better value with that Siskiyou T range, I think. But if you do want a carbon build, that's something that you can't get on the polygons. So moving on to actually, while we're here, we'll go into, so there's also the Rift Zone 27.5 as well. Sorry, I did ignore that. There's a 29 option and the 27.5. The 27.5 does use a slightly older frame, so it is going to be more of a playful bike, but I think that lends more to the wheel size as well, so I wouldn't be too concerned there. So if you are looking for more of a play bike, I think the Rift Zone 27.5 is a great option. So jumping onto some hardtails now, we've got the San Quentin range. So these are one of the better value hardtails on the market, especially if you're looking for something more playful. It was designed by Matt Jones, so he did have a lot of influence on making it kind of more of a playful, aggressive hardtail. So you're getting a decently slack head angle, short chain stays, got the dropper post on all the builds except for the one. Something to note though, with the one, you do get a quick release rear axle, whereas on the San Quentin 2 and 3, you do get through axles. So kind of at that price range of the San Quentin 1, I think it would be worth spending a little bit extra for the San Quentin 2 or 3, because you are getting that through axles front and rear, and then also boost forks front and rear as well. Boost forks in the front and a boost rear axle in the rear. So on the San Quentin 2, you are getting that Recon fork, so slightly more affordable fork. So if you can afford it afford a bit more, the San Quentin 3 is probably a little bit better option. But to be honest, the San Quentin 2 is a great platform to build on, and the price difference there, you can probably upgrade the fork. So that would be my reasoning there. Then you would also jump onto, give them a rating as well. I think in terms of value, going to give those good value there as well. It's a great value bike if you're kind of looking for a more aggressive hardtail. So moving on to the next bikes, you got the Marin Elroy. So jump in that one. This is their chromoly aggressive hardtail. So this was designed by the UK team for Marin. So it's a super, super long aggressive hardtail. It's got super long reaches. There's two sizes. So you've got regular and grande. But looking at those reach numbers, 480 reach, 510 reach on the grande, and then 63 head angles. So these things are super, super slack, super steep seat angles. So bang up to date with all those really aggressive trends. So I think it is kind of a bike for a very specific audience, kind of that UK hardtail crowd. It's not a bike that I see a lot of people riding here in Australia. You need some pretty aggressive descents for this. But I've heard it's a very forgiving frame, but it is on the heavy side. So that would be something that you take into consideration. So it's pretty much an enduro bike. That's the kind of weights that you're looking at. So yeah, I'm going to have to give this one decent value as well. It's good value up there as well. So you're getting really good parts for the money, but it's kind of a very specific bike for specific people. So there's people that ride enduro but prefer a hardtail. So yeah. And then there's also the Pine Mountain, and this is a very specific audience as well. So this is going to go for those people that ride more backcountry, bit of single track, bit of fire trails and stuff like that, but want to carry around a lot of gear. And it's also a chromoly frame as well. So it's going to be really forgiving too. I've heard good things about the frame, but again, slightly on the heavy side. So it really depends on what you're kind of looking for. It's a very specific bike. So I wouldn't see a lot of people getting this purely for riding on trail. It's very much a bike packing kind of bike. So again, with Marin, good value here. It's a great bike if you're looking for that kind of sort of thing. So we'll see if we've got any more bikes that we can jump into next. So starting up with the Marin Bobcat Trail. So this is a bike that I've actually got currently. So I've got the Bobcat Trail 4. And if I'm being honest, that's my pick in the lineup. So if you're looking at the Bobcat Trail 5, they've only got US pricing here, but it is a bit more expensive. But if you're kind of looking at that price point, you're kind of looking more towards a hardtail with through axles front and rear. But I think that Bobcat Trail 4, it's a bike with quick releases of axles front and rear. But for this style of bike, that's not too much of an issue, but you're getting great spec. So it is dropper post ready if you want to upgrade it. You're getting a 1x drivetrain. You're also getting a straight steerer, but it is oversized, so you can run a tapered fork in the future. So I think it's just a great platform to build on. And then also you can go the Bobcat Trail 3. You do get the 2x, but you're getting that great frame as well. So great geometry on the size large, 465 reach, 67 head angle, and you got a really confident cockpit there on there as well. And when I rode this, I didn't feel any drawbacks really at all when I was riding it. I felt confident on the bike. I didn't feel like it was sketchy in any kind of way. So I'll definitely check out the review of that. I'll put the link in the description for that one there. So I would definitely recommend this bike if you're looking at getting into mountain biking and want a good hardtail, or if you're just riding smoother single track, nothing too crazy, a little bit of tech here and there, smaller jumps and stuff like that. I think it's a great option, and it's primed for some good upgrades as well. So if you're looking at that Bobcat Trail 4, I'm going to have to give that one amazing value. I think it's a great bike. So then we'll move on to the Bolinas Ridge. There's also the Wildcat Trail, which is essentially the female version of the Bobcat Trail. But again, gender-specific bikes, I don't think it's really a thing. It's just the top tube's a little bit curved. But yeah, jumping into the Bolinas Ridge, this is going to be a bike for, it's again, similar to that Polygon Cascade and Premier range. It's more of just an enthusiast bike. So it's kind of going into more fire trails, smoother single track. You just want to get out in nature. So they do come with those wider range 3x and 2x drivetrains. So it is wide range there. But again, it's built for people that are going to be using it for leisure, riding on bike paths, bit of gravel stuff as well. So again, don't judge these bikes too harshly in terms of if you're looking at them at a mountain bike perspective. But yeah, I think it's just a great bike if you're looking to get out in the outdoors and do that kind of stuff. So moving on to the next bike in the lineup, we've got the Marin Team. And I think this one kind of flies under the radar a little bit. I think it's a great bike. It's got not the super crazy geometry that you expect out of a trail bike, but it is kind of more of a down country kind of XC trail bike. And I think it was designed for the Nike XC races in the US. So kind of those more high school things. And then also for people in the Marin Team to race some XC and stuff like that. So it's not the longest reach, but again, it's an XC bike and you're getting a 67 head angle, I think. So decently slack there, decent steep seat angle, and you're getting some great spec on these. So if you're looking for a lightweight alloy hardtail to tackle XC, some smoother single track, a little bit of tech here and there on those XC racetracks, and you do prefer that alloy side of things, as I said, I think they're a great option. The Marin Team 2 with that dropper post, Fox 34 step cast fork, I think is a great option. So if you're looking for something there, I think it's a good option for trail and XC and doing a bit of those more marathon races and XC races. So another good value bike there if you're looking at a XC specific bike. So that's pretty much it on those bikes. Jump and see if we missed out on anything on the bike packing. Didn't miss out on anything there. We've got the dirt jumps. So Marin pretty famous for their dirt jump bikes with the Alcatraz. Again, one of the better value dirt jump bikes on the market. A little bit more expensive than the Polygon Trid, but again, you're kind of getting a little bit better of a, I mean, it's not better in any kind of sense. Like, I think it's still, they're both pretty similar bikes. They're spec'd very similar, frames very similar, but you get that street cred with the Matt Jones with the Alcatraz there. So I think it's a good option if you're looking for that. It's just a great looking bike, super fun. And again, we're going to have to give that one good value, a little bit better value with that Polygon Trid, but you're getting a bit more street cred with the Alcatraz there. And it's a super playful, fun bike. Good for those dirt jumps. And then the last bike really in the lineup that we haven't covered, we've got the Alpine Trail E. So a great option if you're looking for a brawling kind of e-bike. It's very similar to that Mount Bromo from Polygon. It's one of those point and shoot e-bikes, absolute plow, really aggressive geometry, coil shock, and then you get some beefy forks up front. The spec with all these things is super great. So we'll jump into the Alpine Trail E2. So you're getting a decently sized battery. So that 630 watt hour battery, Steps EP8, Fox 38, Fox DH-X2 Performance Elite with the coil. So absolutely killer suspension there. Then you're getting some good tires, proper casings as well. 4-piston Shimano SLX brakes, even like Dady finishing kit as well. So with the stem and bars. So you can't go wrong with those bikes. They're spec'd really well for the money. I know Vital did a review on them and they absolutely loved it. So it's definitely worth checking out if you do want an e-bike. So that's pretty much the main lineup. We're going to, again, kind of in between that amazing good value kind of range on those as well. Marin, for a bike shop brand and also a brand that sells stuff online, you're going to get some killer deals with these bikes. I think they're great value. So if you do want to get them online, I do have an affiliate link for bikes online and bicycles online for Australia and the US. So if you do want to get them, I definitely recommend checking out those links, as it's a great way to support the channel. But yeah, let's jump into some questions. That's pretty much covered it. If you got any questions about the bikes, leave them below and I'll get through answering them. So we'll go through the questions now. So let's have a look what we've got. Alex asks, what is the best full suspension for a beginner? I think if you're looking at value, that Marin Rift Zone's a great option. The Polygon Siskiyou D series or the Vitas Mythique are probably the best options on the market if you're looking for something great value. Subliminal Vibes, they look expensive. Again, they're a little bit more expensive because it is Australian pricing, but if you're looking at all the retail prices, theirs are retail prices, so they are a little bit cheaper online. You'll find that everything's gone up in price in the past year as well, so that does make things a little bit more expensive. Gillis Dave, so this is to Cutlaps. So again, if you haven't checked out Cutlaps channel, definitely check it out. It's got some awesome trail building stuff. He's put on TRP Quadium brakes, 2 or 3 rotors front and rear, 100 Enduro wides, all that kind of stuff like that. Some good upgrades there. What bike is that on? Alpine Trail Carbon 1. So yeah, I think the Alpine Trail 1, it is that kind of good building, good place to kind of upgrade and build on if you do want that carbon frame. Because as you said, you can put that Charger damper in that Yari fork. If you want to change, you change it to a Marzocchi Bomber CR in the rear, and then upgraded the brakes and stuff like that. So yeah, especially with a lot of these bikes as well, a wheel upgrade, like as you said, with the Hunt Enduro wides go a long way. They do come with slightly heavier wheels, a lot of bikes from factory. So with the Polygon Siskiyou T series, I had a comment on yesterday's video, I haven't quite answered yet. The wheels weigh around 2.5 kilos. So an upgrade there will make it completely transform the bike. The bike is actually very efficient, especially for the weight that it has. If you looked at the Pink Bike efficiency test, it actually won compared to a lot of lighter and more efficient bikes. So just upgrading those wheels will make it accelerate even better. And it does have a really stable pedaling platform along with the Marin as well. So those upgrades will help a fair bit. Jim Jam asks thoughts on the Vitas Mythique VRX. Do I think it's worth the extra $300 than the Rift Zone? I think if you're keeping the bike for a long time, I would prefer the Rift Zone. Looking at the Vitas Mythique frame, again, haven't ridden it, so I can't really say anything in that regards. The geometry is a little bit better on the Rift Zone too, especially the 29er version. But with the Mythic VRX, I know there's just looking at the frame, like the pivot points and stuff like that, it doesn't look as clean, but again, that doesn't mean anything. You have to kind of ride it to actually see. And then over time, you'll see the durability and that kind of stuff like that. But you do get better spec with the Vitas as well. So that kind of really have to pick and choose what you want there. It really depends on the trails that you're going to be riding too. So if you're not hitting some super fast speeds and stuff like that, the slightly longer geometry on the Rift Zone might not be to your liking. So Jake Carroll asks, I've got the Bobcat Trail 4, confident on, we'll bring the question up, sorry. Jake Carroll, I've got a Bobcat Trail 4, confident on XC sort of trails like Manly Dam. Want to hit harder enduro stuff like Mount Narra. Could I get through Mount Narra on the Bobcat Trail, or will I need to upgrade? The main thing that you want to upgrade is the fork. If you're just picking and choosing your way down, like just if you've got a dropper post, that's going to help massively. That's the one thing that you will need. Because it is very rocky and ledgy and stuff like that, that's where you notice the limits of the hardtail pretty quickly, especially one that has quick release axles in the rear. But I would upgrade the fork, will make things a lot easier on that kind of trail. But you won't be able to, I wouldn't be absolutely sending everything down Mount Narra, but I would be picking and choosing my lines a little bit more because it is very rocky and ledgy, but the smoother stuff like happy endings at the end and the smoother jumps and stuff like that will be perfectly fine. Mookie, bit off topic. What are your thoughts on the Canyon Talk 5? I think the Canyon Talk's a great value bike if you're looking for a very specific kind of bike. So if you're after a 27.5, kind of more doing more free ridey kind of stuff and that kind of trails, or you just prefer 27.5-inch wheels, got a lot more gnarly terrain, especially that chunky stuff, the Talk will work really well there. But yeah, again, it is kind of more of that kind of more free ridey style of bike. There's no room for a water bottle, so that's kind of something you'd have to take into consideration. Archie says, I missed the Polygon Vander T7 yesterday. So unfortunately, the Polygon Vander T7 is actually discontinued. So with the Vander series, it was only brought in for just because there was a lot of restrictions there wasn't a lot of stock last year with everything that happened. But Polygon did have a fair few of the frames for the Vander around. So they were able to build up a few of those bikes and then sell them off. But unfortunately, that lineup's just discontinued. So it's going to be the full Siskiyou lineup now. There's no more Vanders. So it's just, yeah, that lineup's now discontinued. Tony Kerwood asks, just got a T8. What wheels would I suggest to drop the weight? And what do I need to spend? So I think kind of around, it depends if you're talking Australian or US dollars, kind of around about 750 to 1,000 Australian dollars will get you a good wheel set. So anything like the Stance Flow Mark 3s, the Hunt Trail Wides will be more than enough. You don't need anything crazy there. Trying to think off the top of my head what other good options are. I really like those Hunts. There's also the Nuke Proofs as well. So anything kind of around about that 2,000 gram mark will be probably what you're looking for, kind of on a more affordable wheel set. So I would look at those ones. The Hunts are probably my favorite on the market at the moment. Dion Thornton, I want to get a mountain bike under 4K. What do I think I should get? Has a Silverback Stride. That's a great value bike, which is around 1,500 and it feels like I'm out riding it. So what do I recommend? Depending on where you are in the world, like that Polygon Siskiyou T is great value. Marin Rift Zone. I've heard there might be a new Giant Trance coming out soon as well. The entry-level Specialized Stump Jumper, anything kind of around, anything below 4K is going to be great value. So I would be looking kind of, really depends on what trails you're riding, but if you're looking just kind of a bit more forgiveness, a trail bike's probably going to be your best option. So we'll check out the Trail Bike Buyer's Guide from last year. There hasn't been too many things that have come out that are different. But yeah, I would check out that Buyer's Guide for some more options there. Jim Jam, what's the difference between RockShox forks with debonair and without? So there's no more, I think off the top of my head, out of all the main forks, so like your Yaris, Lyrics, the 35s, even the Revelations, Pikes, all that kind of stuff, they come with a debonair fork. I don't think there's anything really that comes without the debonair anymore. Maybe the Recons, but I could be wrong off the top of my head. But the older ones without the debonair, they felt a little bit harsher off the top. So it's got a bigger negative air spring. So it's just going to make it a bit more sensitive, easy to get into the travel, so a bit more supple. Dion is from Melbourne, riding mostly jumps. Yeah, so I think kind of more probably like an all-mountain bike as well. That would probably be a better option. So check out my all-mountain buyer's guide. That's probably the one that I would go for. What's a good Enduro rear wheel for $400 to $550? Yeah, there's plenty of, it's kind of tough. If you're just buying specifically a rear wheel, I'd probably jump on Chain Reaction. You might be able to build something up pretty cheaply from there. But yeah, any of those brands like Flow, Hunt, Stands, Flows, Stands, Mark 3 Flows, the Hunts, the Nuke Proof's a good option as well. They're all going to be good options. Mookie asks, am I sponsored by Polygon or Bikes Online? No, they just send me bikes and then I'm part of the affiliate program as well. So not necessarily sponsored. I actually had to buy my last bike, which was the Marin Bobcat Trail as well. So they do get a little bit of commission from the affiliate program, but not sponsored. So I can allow to ride out the bikes and all that kind of stuff like that. Just don't have anything else at the moment. Hello, man. How you going? So I think that's pretty much it. If you don't have any other questions, send them through because we'll probably finish the live stream, trying to keep them to 30 minutes each day because my voice will be dead by the end of December, if not. Lenny asked, what's the difference between the Mark III and the EX3? Off the top of my head, the Mark IIIs are the lighter, more expensive ones. And then the EX3, I think off the top of my head, they're a heavier, option, so they're a bit more budget option. So yeah. And then Hamish, I'll answer probably 2 or 3 more questions. He's 142 centimeters, want a bike to last. Really long. What size bike should I get? It's really going to depend on the model. I wouldn't want to go too big because especially on these enduro bike, like more enduro kind of bikes, they are pretty long these days. And if you are small, it's going to be hard to manage them, get them around the trails pretty easily. So you're really going to have to try and see what you fit, but I'd probably say extra small would be the way to go. Marty Richards, what's a good playful value enduro bike? I think if you're looking kind of more playful, then around that 27.5 inch wheels is probably the way to go. I think the the Merida 160 is going to be a super playful, fun bike. The Canyon Talk, as other people have said, trying to think off the top of my head. It's been a while since I've done I need to do all my research for this year's buyer's guide. Dean asks, how old am I? I'm 27. So look a bit older than look a bit younger than how old I am. Thanks, man. I'll answer that question now. So what's my thoughts on SRAM versus Shimano? I definitely prefer Shimano. I'm a bit more of a Shimano. I prefer their brakes, drivetrains as well. Haven't had much luck with SRAM stuff. Alpine Trail or Riftstone for Mount Narra, definitely the Alpine Trail, especially if you're just kind of slowly going down, picking your way through it, then the Riftstone's probably going to be a better option. But if you are looking to progress your descending, I think the Marin Alpine Trail is a better option. Dion, thanks, man. We'll see you tomorrow. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We'll wrap it up. I think we might do probably Specialized tomorrow, do one of the major brands. And then we'll kind of get into the rest and we'll do a poll. I'm kind of waiting for the Giant one because I know that there is potentially that Giant Trance 29, the new one coming out soon. So we'll wait out for that one until that comes out so we can do a little bit of an update there. But quick last one, Brendan Lynn, what happens to the Enduro Polygon bikes and Bicycle Online? I answered that in last night's stream. There's also a link to Spinning Wheels video. Check that one out. He kind of gives an update on what's happening with that. But anyway, see you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow. Same kind of time. On the weekends, I'll probably do the live stream probably around 10 in the morning, 11 in the morning, so I can get some of the US guys in here and join in. But if you want any other YouTubers to come join the stream every now and then, let me know, and we'll see what we can do there. But if I want me to change anything with the streams or add something in, just let me know in the comments as well, and I will do that. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See ya.